The first fragrances found were at the ceremonial sites of ancient Egyptians, circa 2000 to 3000 BC. Those fragrances, some of them had frankincense, myrrh, some cumarin. Back in those days, it was only obtainable by the wealthy and the rich. Fragrances were, and still are to an extent, a symbol of social standing. Now, we're not going to look at fragrances that are that old. What we're going to do is we're going to time travel to before the year 2000, with the oldest one reaching 200 years ago. You ready? Let's go. Hey everyone, I'm Peter from Central. On this channel I talk about fragrances, designer, niche, perfumers, so on and so forth. So if you're into fragrances or you just want to smell nice, consider love, like, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things. I want to thank you in advance, and now let's time travel to our first fragrance from 1792. Now in 1792, the fragrance that I'm talking about is 4711. This fragrance right here is still unchanged to this day. When you smell this, it turned heads back then and it still turns heads today. It's a wonderful, fresh, citrus aromatic fragrance. It has some lavender, rosemary, and lots of citruses in it. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on each of these fragrances. I have quite a few that we're going to go through. So 4711 is the first one, 1792, unchanged formula since then. It's coveted just like Coca-Cola. Nobody knows exactly what the mixtures are. That's just plain awesome. The next one that I have is a fragrance created almost 100 years later. And it was created in 1889 by Amy. It's a Guerlain fragrance, Amy Guerlain. And it is an aromatic lavender with a rosemary bite and a slight dry down of vanilla. 1889, Yicky or Chicky is the name of this one. Now this one smells a little bit dated. I don't think that anybody is still wearing this one. If you still wear this one, or if you have somebody that still wears Yicky, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. This one is from 1889. Another amazing lavender scent that is from a long time ago is from 1939 or 34, 1934. It is created by Ernest Daltoff, and it is Pour un homme de Caron. This one is a light vanilla with lavender and some musk in it. It is beautiful, soft, and very simple. When you smell this one, even today, you can just, it's absolutely gorgeous. Got a little bit of a powderiness, softness to it. Absolutely gorgeous. And you can pick these up for a really good price nowadays, even though it was created in 1934. Beautiful and simple. Then in 1936, many of you might still remember your grandfather smelling like this. This fragrance was created in 1936 and it wasn't really marketed until the 1960s in the United States for men. It was originally created for women. And many of you might remember this one from your grandfather or your father even. This is Canoe. Now this one right here is a splash. Lavender, carnation, and some clary sage in this one. Absolutely powerful. You get this on your nostrils or on your hair, or on your hands, and it will smell, I mean, for a long time, very powerful. Your grandparents, they will remember this one when they were young, how big of a scent that was in the 1960s. But it was originally created in 1936 for females, and it wasn't marketed till men until 1960s. And now we're gonna go right into 1965 with this Guerlain. Jean-Paul Guerlain created Habit Rouge, 1965. This one, unfortunately, is a reformulation. It's a 2003 bottle. I don't have an original one, but I've been told that it retains its original character quite well. You're going to have an elegant citrus with some rose. There's still some carnation or floral note in there, and it settles into a cozy leather fragrance with a touch of cinnamon. Many people still wear Habit Rouge today. It is an absolute elegant scent, although all of these are going to be just a little bit more on the mature side. A beautiful, elegant smell. And that's Habit Rouge from 1965 from Guerlain. Then in 1966, Dior rocks us with a beautiful fragrance that lots of people still wear today. And it is Eau Sauvage from 1966. Edmund Rodnitska is behind this wonderful fragrance. It's a timeless classic, has some rosemary, some caraway, some basil in this fragrance that just absolutely radiates style. Another one that is from 1966, which is an absolute wonderful fragrance. The original 1966, Arami. This one is a deeper scent than the Eau Sauvage. It has a strong myrrh and leather and patchouli scent. There's also a little bit of a coconut in the dry down, which gives this fragrance, as it dries down, a little bit of softness. Arami is still sold in stores today. You can go to your main department stores, and Arami and many of the flankers will still be on sale today, even though it's from 1966. It's a wonderful, deeper sort of scent from yesteryear. Absolutely gorgeous. As we move from there, there's some aldehydes in this one. And the next one is also going to have some aldehydes. And it's going to be Royal Copenhagen. Now, Royal Copenhagen came out originally in 1970. And this is also a splash right here. I like it, but I actually prefer the 1974 release of the Royal Copenhagen Musk, which is this one right here. And the Royal Copenhagen Musk is going to be a floral fragrance with some nutmeg and some cloves. It is a quite pleasant fragrance. I've heard people compare this one to Prada Amber a little bit, although to me it's not really that close. But between Royal Copenhagen from 1970 and Royal Copenhagen Musk, I would go with the Royal Copenhagen Musk. It's just a little bit more of a contemporary scent, while this one is a little bit more on the dated side. Also, it's a splash. Then in 1974, Givenchy brings us a fragrance called Gentleman Givenchy. This one is going to be a patchouli leather scent with a good dose of civet. Very, very masculine. Now, it does kind of calm down a little bit as it dries down, but it is a very powerful masculine scent. You got to be able to wear this one, otherwise it will wear you. Now, I did an entire rundown of the Givenchy Gentleman fragrances starting in 1974, going up all the way up to the newest one, excluding the 2021 release. I do have it here. I just didn't do a review on that one yet, and I will do that in the next couple of days. But if you're interested in the Givenchy fragrances, the whole lineup of the Gentleman fragrances, I will link it in the top for you, and you can watch it there. Now, 1974 also brought us a couple of fragrances from a guy or a designer that was no longer with us called Halston. And it is C12, C14, and then of course Halston Classic. For the females, for the girls out there, the Halston Classic, I've been told that a lot of people still wear this one. It's going to have a quite amount of peach in this one. Also some rose and some ylang-ylang. It's a quite powerful scent, has a slight hint of mint as it dries down. It was a quite sexy scent. Some of you might remember it back in those days. Today it's going to be just a little bit too much, a little bit too strong. I don't know of anyone who still wears this one. As far as the C14 and the C12, the C14, you're going to have a little bit of gardenia. There's some jasmine in that one. And that's probably, and a little bit of oak moss. That's probably why that one was my favorite one. The C12 seemed to be just a little bit more tart. It has a little bit more of a piney note. Honestly, I don't wear these anymore because to me, to my nose, they're just a little bit too dated and I have so much to choose from. But I do like reminiscing and smelling them every now and then, just to take me back in time. But let's continue and go on. The next one's going to be from 1978. It is a Karl Lagerfeld. Lagerfeld also is going to have some aldehydes in it, which give it a little bit of a lightness. There's also going to be some tarragon at the top. Powerful scent that deepens into a little bit of a tobacco and vanilla. That's Karl Lagerfeld, 1978, and I believe you can still wear this one today. It is actually quite nice. And with Karl Lagerfeld from 1978, we're going to go into the 80s. Now, I believe, at least in my opinion, that the 80s belonged to a couple of fragrances only. And the first one is going to be Kouros and Civet. Anybody? This is an absolute civet beast. I sprayed this one on over here. I'm talking about like 3 days ago. And when I walk into the room, I can still smell it. An absolute beast from the 1980s. Another one, actually 1981 to be specific. Another one that is an absolute star of the 80s, Dracar Noir by Guy Laroche. This one is still being sold today. People still give this one to their spouses because it's just an absolute stunning scent loved by many, many, many all over the world. Dracar Noir, 1982, enough said. Another one that really rocked the 80s was a 1985 fragrance. It's a ladies' fragrance. Too bad they don't make this one anymore. It was the star of the year, and it is Fendi Fendi. This one had cardamom, ylang ylang. It's an absolute beauty. I think those three are really the ones, in my opinion, that rock the 80s. Draca Noir, definitely Kuros, and Fendi for women. Now I said that like there wasn't anything else in the 80s. Of course, there were a couple of other ones. If you had the finances to afford an upper scale fragrance. Two fragrances were also in the 80s, and it was Green Irish Tweed 1985 by the House of Creed. This is an absolute stunner. People still wear it today. It has some lemon verbena. There's some iris mixed with some ambergris and sandalwood in the dry down. There's modern iterations of this one from other companies who have, copied this, or the other one came first. I believe Cool Water may have even come before this one. An absolute stunner. The ambergris dry down is absolutely stellar. Another one that's from the 80s, if you had the dollars to shell out back in those days, was also a Creed, and it is Bois de Portugal. Bois de Portugal came out in 1987, and just like Green Irish Tweed, or GIT as it is known, it has a huge following, although Bois de Portugal maybe to a lesser extent. Bois de Portugal is a little bit more of a gentlemanly approach with its lavender, sandalwood, and ambergris dry down. This is a gentleman's fragrance for sure. You can still wear this one today and garner compliments, just like you can with Green Irish Tweed. The 90s also produced some really amazing fragrances. And what I mean is we have Shalimar 1990. Now you're like, okay, hold on a minute. I know my fragrances. Shalimar didn't come out in 1990. I know the first Shalimar came out in 1921. However, I picked the Shalimar EDP because I like this one better, and it's in 1990. So this one is going to be a powdery, smoky vanilla. It's a lady's fragrance. Has a good dose of iris and also a good amount of smokiness in this one. Also, it has a little bit of a civet to give it this extra kick. Shalimar is still worn by many today. Shalimar 1990, original 1921. And one of my favorites coming up is a 1991 fragrance. It's Carolina Herrera for Men, 1991. Now I've probably talked about this one in one of my videos before because I truly enjoy this fragrance. It is not nearly as powerful as it used to be. But I think that the neroli, the lavender, the cloves and tobacco in this fragrance with a little bit of ambergris, it's just deep enough, just fresh enough. You can wear this one anytime, anywhere, and still smell great. Is it dated? Not at all. Not like some of the other ones. I still love wearing this one when I don't know what to wear and I want to smell really good that I like all day. I still like Carolina Herrera for Men from 1991. It's just an easy wear. Love this one, and you can get this one for a really good price nowadays. The next one we're going to look at is a fragrance also mentioned quite a lot by people in the frag community, and it is going to be Boucheron 1991. The EDT and the EDP were both released in 1991, and in my opinion, I like the EDP just a little bit better. Can you wear this fragrance today? Absolutely. It is an incredible, manly, and very elegant scent that you can wear just about anywhere and smell great. A little bit more on the mature side perhaps, but you know if you're the right guy to wear this one. Really a great scent. Another one that's really wonderful, and I also like the EDP just a little bit better. It came out in 1907, is also Boucheron, and it is Jaipur. This one is a wonderful, a much sweeter scent than the Boucheron. It has a little bit of lemon verbena in there. It also has some cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg, and some vanilla. Absolutely yummy. Cartier also had a release in 1992, and it released Pasha de Cartier. And Pasha de Cartier is a mandarin orange scent with a little bit of caraway in it. Now this one is a little bit on the dated side. It was really wonderful in 1992. Could you wear this one today? Absolutely. It's not nearly as dated as the other ones, which smell a little bit more like a barbershop. You can wear this one, but they did a new release in 2020, and it's the EDP version of this one. It's an absolutely stellar fragrance from 2020. It's a wonderful re-release or a deeper version of the original Pasha Cartier. And this is Pasha 1992. Mandarin orange and labdanum and some patchouli and a little bit of caraway. The next one is going to be an Armani fragrance that everyone still wears. And the one that I'm talking about is a fragrance that came out in 1996, and it is Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani. Now, I don't think that this fragrance needs a lot of introduction. Many of you already know it. There's lots of flankers that go with it. I did a video on some of the flankers that I own from this Acqua di Gio line. I will link it in the description box if you're interested. Other than Acqua di Gio, there is another fragrance that came out in 1998. Right before the year of 2000. That was an absolute stunner, and if you haven't tried it, I think you should get yourself a whiff of it. It also has many flankers following it, and that one is by Cartier as well. We had the Pasha earlier. It's the second Cartier for the 90s that I think is really amazing, and you can still wear it today. That is Cartier Declaration. Many flankers to go. Now, I don't have a video on all the flankers of this one yet, but it's yet to come. Now, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, don't forget to love, like, share, all those wonderful things to let people know about the fragrances of the past. I want to thank you in advance. Until next time, I want you to take good care of yourself. Always smell nice, and I will talk to you soon. Until then, Central.